My wife has been dead for 6 months, and I just found out she was a stranger. I'm sitting in our bedroom, her bedroom really, the one she decorated with the lavender curtains and the photos of our wedding, holding a phone I've never seen before. A cheap, prepaid thing, the kind you buy at gas stations, the kind people use when they don't want to be traced. It was hidden in a shoebox at the back of her closet, underneath her winter sweaters. I only found it because I was finally cleaning out her things. 6 months of grief, 6 months of leaving everything exactly as she left it, and today I decided I was ready. I wasn't ready. The phone was dead when I found it. I had to dig through junk drawers to find a charger that fit. Part of me hoped it wouldn't turn on. Part of me knew I should just throw it away, preserve whatever image I had left of the woman I loved. But I've never been good at leaving things alone. The screen lit up. No password. And now I'm looking at text messages that are rewriting everything I thought I knew about my marriage. Have you ever discovered something about someone you loved, something that made you question whether you ever really knew them at all? Before I tell you what was on that phone, I want you to think about that. Think about how it would feel to realize the person you shared your life with had a whole other existence you knew nothing about. Drop a comment if you've ever been blindsided like this, because I'm about to tell you a story that still doesn't feel real, even though I've read these messages 100 times. My name is Daniel. I'm 42 years old. I was married to Sophie for 11 years, and I genuinely believed that we were happy. She died in a car accident last October. A truck ran a red light. She was pronounced dead at the scene. I didn't even get to say goodbye. The funeral was packed. Sophie was beloved by her students at the elementary school where she taught, by our neighbors, by everyone who met her. People called her radiant, warm, the kind of person who remembered your birthday and brought soup when you were sick. I gave a eulogy about the light of my life being extinguished. I meant every word. Now I'm looking at her secret phone, at messages to someone named M, and I'm realizing I was married to a ghost. The most recent text was sent the morning she died. "I can't keep doing this," Sophie wrote. "I'm going to tell him tonight. He deserves to know the truth." The response came 12 minutes later. "Are you sure? There's no going back once you tell him." "I know, but I'm tired of lying. I love him too much to keep this from him anymore." That was the last message. 3 hours later, she was dead. I've read those words so many times they've burned into my brain. Tell him what? What truth? And who the hell is M? I need to go back. I need to tell you about Sophie, the woman I married, before I tell you about Sophie, the woman I apparently didn't know. We met at a bookstore. Cliché, I know, but some clichés exist because they're true. I was reaching for a copy of East of Eden, and so was she. Our hands touched. She laughed. "Steinbeck fan?" she asked. "The best American novelist who ever lived," I said, which I believed then and believe now. "Bold claim." Her eyes sparkled. "I'd put Fitzgerald above him." "Then you haven't read East of Eden properly." She laughed again. "Buy me a coffee and convince me." That was Sophie, spontaneous, fearless, the kind of woman who talked to strangers in bookstores and turned chance encounters into love stories. We were married within a year. Everyone said it was too fast. My mother worried I was rushing into something. Her friends whispered that she could do better. I was just an accountant, after all, nothing special. But we didn't care. We knew what we had. At least, I thought we did. Our marriage wasn't perfect. No marriage is. Sophie wanted children. I was hesitant, worried about finances, about bringing kids into an uncertain world. We fought about it sometimes. Quiet, careful fights that never resolved anything. She threw herself into teaching instead, first grade. She came home with glitter in her hair and stories about kids who couldn't tie their shoes but could recite the entire alphabet backward. She loved those children like they were her own. "Maybe this is enough," she told me once, lying in bed after a particularly hard day. "Maybe I don't need my own kids. Maybe I can just borrow other people's."
I should have heard the sadness underneath those words. I should have heard a lot of things. The last few years, something shifted. I couldn't put my finger on it at the time. She seemed happy. We were happy. But there was a distance I couldn't cross, a door she kept closed. She started going to book club on Thursday nights, started taking long walks by herself, started sleeping with her phone under her pillow, screen side down. I noticed, of course I noticed, but I told myself it was nothing. Sophie wasn't the type to... No, that's not honest. The truth is, I was afraid to ask, afraid of what she might say, afraid that pulling at that thread would unravel everything. So I let it go. I buried my suspicions under routine and work and the comfortable fiction that everything was fine. And then she died. And now I'm holding her secret phone, and the fiction is burning down around me. I've spent the last 3 days reading through Sophie's text with M. They go back almost 2 years. The early messages are casual, friendly, the kind of thing you'd exchange with a coworker or a casual acquaintance. Thanks for today. I needed that. Anytime, same time next week, wouldn't miss it. Nothing incriminating, nothing that would raise alarms. But then they shift, gradually, almost imperceptibly. The messages get longer, more personal, more intimate. I told Daniel I was at book club again. I hate lying to him. Then don't. You know I can't. He wouldn't understand. You don't give him enough credit. Maybe, but I'm not ready. Not yet. I'm reading these exchanges like a detective, searching for clues, trying to piece together the shape of whatever this was. The thing is, and this is what's driving me crazy, they never explicitly say what they're doing.
There are no declarations of love, no plans for secret rendezvous, no "I miss your body" or "I can't stop thinking about last night." Just two people talking, sharing, connecting in ways that feel deeper than friendship, but never cross into the explicitly romantic, until one message, dated about 8 months before she died. "I think I'm falling for you," Sophie wrote. My heart stopped when I read that. But M's response wasn't what I expected. "Sophie, we've talked about this. You know that's not what this is." "I know. I'm sorry. Forget I said anything. I care about you, deeply, but not like that. You know why." "I know. I got confused. It won't happen again." After that, the messages returned to their previous tone, warm but boundaried, close but careful. What was this relationship? An emotional affair that never became physical? A friendship that almost crossed a line? Something else entirely. The not knowing is worse than any truth could be. I've tried Googling the number, no results. I've thought about calling it, but something stops me every time. What would I even say? "Hi, I'm the husband of the dead woman you were secretly texting for 2 years. Mind explaining what the hell was going on?" The messages paint a picture, but it's incomplete, like a puzzle with half the pieces missing. There's one thing I know for certain, though. Whatever Sophie was planning to tell me the night she died, it was connected to M, and I need to find out what it was. I became obsessed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't focus on work. Every spare moment was spent dissecting those messages, searching for clues I might have missed. M never uses their full name, never mentions where they live, where they work, how they know Sophie. It's like they were deliberately careful, like they knew someone might read these someday. But there are breadcrumbs. In one message, M mentions a coffee shop, asterisk, the place on Maple Street with the good espresso. Sophie responds that she'll be there at 3. I know that coffee shop. It's called The Grind. Small, independent, the kind of place with mismatched furniture and baristas who remember your order. I went there yesterday. "I'm looking for someone," I told the girl behind the counter. "A woman named Sophie used to come here, blonde, early 40s, always smiling. She might have met someone here regularly." The barista's face changed. Recognition, followed by something softer. "You're her husband, aren't you? I heard about. I'm so sorry." "Thank you. I'm trying to find out about someone she used to meet here.
I don't have a name, just an initial." She frowned, thinking. Sophie came in a lot, usually on Thursday afternoons. She'd sit at the corner table with... She hesitated. "I don't know if I should. Please, I need to know." A woman, dark hair, about Sophie's age. They seemed close, really close. I always assumed they were old friends. A woman? I don't know why that surprised me so much. I'd been assuming M was a man, that Sophie had been having an affair, the conventional kind, with someone she was hiding from me.
But a woman changed things. Or did it? Did you ever catch her name? No, she always paid cash, never ordered anything complicated. The barista paused. Actually, wait, I remember Sophie calling her something once. It sounded like Mariana? Marina? Something like that. Marina. Huh. I thanked her and left, my mind racing. I spent the next week scouring Sophie's life for anyone named Marina. Her contacts, her social media, her coworkers, nothing. Whoever this woman was, Sophie had kept her completely separate from her regular life, which meant she didn't want to be found. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Sophie's younger sister, Claire, called me 3 weeks into my investigation. We hadn't talked much since the funeral. Grief makes people pull away. But she wanted to check in. "How are you holding up?" she asked. "Fine," I lied. "Going through her things. You know how it is." "I do." A pause. "Actually, Danny, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Did Sophie ever mention anyone named Marina to you?" My blood went cold. "Why?" "It's probably nothing. But about a year ago, Sophie called me, really upset. She'd been crying. I asked what was wrong, and she said she'd had a fight with someone named Marina. When I asked who that was, she got weird. Said it was just someone from a support group. Then she changed the subject. A support group? For what? I don't know. I assumed maybe anxiety or depression. Sophie always seems so happy, but sometimes the happiest people are the best at hiding things." Claire's voice softened. "I should have pushed harder, asked more questions. I just thought... I don't know what I thought." After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. A support group. That opened new possibilities. Not an affair, or not just an affair, but something else. Something Sophie was dealing with that she couldn't tell me about. I need to stop here and ask you something. At this point in the story, what do you think Sophie was hiding? An affair? An addiction? Something else entirely? I had my theories, and I was wrong about all of them. But I'm curious what you think, based on what you know so far. Drop your guess in the comments before you keep listening. Let's see if anyone figures it out before the truth comes out. I started searching for support groups in our area. There are dozens. Grief, addiction, divorce, chronic illness, trauma. I had no idea where to start. Then I remembered something. The messages. There was one exchange I'd glossed over, months before the others, where M had written, "Same place as always, room 4B." Room 4B. I searched every community center, church, and clinic within 20 miles until I found one that matched. St. Augustine's Community Center, about 15 minutes from our house. The receptionist was helpful when I showed up. "Support groups, we host several. What kind are you looking for?" "I'm not sure. My wife passed away, and I'm trying to learn more about a group she might have attended. Thursday evenings, room 4B. She checked her schedule. Thursday evenings, 4B. That would be one of our women's groups. They've been meeting here for about 3 years. What kind of women's group? The receptionist hesitated. I'm sorry, I can't give out that information. Privacy policies. But I can tell you the facilitator's name if that helps. Marina Vance. She runs most of our Thursday programs. Marina Vance. I had a name. Finding Marina wasn't hard once I had her full name. She's a licensed therapist with a small practice on the east side of town. Her website describes her as specializing in trauma recovery, grief counseling, and support for survivors. Survivors of what? I called her office.
made an appointment, lied and said I was interested in individual therapy. 3 days later, I was sitting in her waiting room, heart pounding, palms sweating. She was exactly as the barista described. Dark hair, maybe 50, with kind eyes and a calm demeanor. When she called my name, I almost bolted. "Daniel, come on in." Her office was comfortable. Soft lighting, plants in the corners, a couch that probably cost more than it looked like it should. I sat down and tried to remember how to breathe. "So, Daniel," she said, settling into her chair, "what brings you here today?" I'd planned to lie, to pretend I was just another patient, ease enter questions about Sophie gradually. But sitting there, looking at this woman who knew my wife in ways I didn't, all the pretense drained out of me. "My name is Daniel Wright," I said. "Sophie Wright was my wife." Marina's face went pale. "She died 6 months ago," I continued, "and I found her phone, the one she used to text you." Silence. Then Marina closed her eyes, pressed her hands together, and exhaled slowly. I wondered if this day would come. I need to know the truth, all of it. What was going on between you and Sophie? "Daniel," she opened her eyes, "there's so much you don't understand. Sophie was planning to tell you everything. She'd finally worked up the courage. And then she died. Yes. So tell me, whatever she was going to say, tell me now." Marina studied me for a long moment. I couldn't read her expression. "What I'm about to share with you is something Sophie should have told you herself. I want you to understand that she loved you more than anything. What she kept from you wasn't about a lack of love. It was about fear." "Fear of what?" "Fear that you wouldn't look at her the same way. Fear that you'd see her as damaged, broken." Marina paused. "Fear that you'd stop loving her." I could never stop loving her. She didn't believe that. Not because of anything you did, because of what was done to her. My chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" Marina took a deep breath. "The group Sophie attended, the one I facilitate, is for survivors of childhood sexual abuse." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Sophie came to me 3 years ago," Marina continued. "She'd been carrying this secret her entire adult life. Never told anyone, never got help. But it was destroying her from the inside." I couldn't speak, couldn't think. The room was spinning. "Who?" I finally managed. "Her stepfather. From the time she was 8 until she was 14, when he finally left the family." Sophie's stepfather. Richard. I'd met him once, briefly, at our wedding. Sophie barely spoke to him. I'd assumed they just weren't close. I was wrong about everything. I drove home in a daze. Everything looked different now. Every memory of Sophie was refracted through this new lens, this truth I'd been blind to for 11 years. The way she flinched sometimes when I touched her unexpectedly, the nightmares she had but never talked about, her insistence on locking every door twice before bed, her reluctance to have children. Oh God, the children. I remembered a conversation from years ago. I'd been pressing her, asking why she was so adamant that she didn't want kids. She'd gotten quiet, looked away, and said, "I'm just scared I'd mess them up somehow." I thought she meant the normal fears, the fear of being a bad parent, of repeating her own mother's mistakes. I never imagined she meant this. That night, I sat in Sophie's closet, surrounded by her clothes that still smelled like her, and I cried for the first time since the funeral. Not just for losing her, for never really knowing her, for all the pain she carried alone because she thought I couldn't handle it, for the way trauma echoes through generations, turning bright, loving people into experts at hiding. I cried for the 11 years she smiled through breakfast while carrying a weight I couldn't see. I cried because she was finally going to tell me, finally going to trust me with her darkest secret. And a truck ran a red light and stole that chance forever. The next morning, I called Marina again. I need to know more, I said. Everything she shared with you, everything she was going to tell me. Daniel, that's not how therapy works. There's confidentiality. She's dead, Marina. The confidentiality doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I understand. Please. A long pause. Come to the group meeting on Thursday, she finally said. The other women knew Sophie well. They've been grieving too. Maybe together we can piece something together. Thursday felt like a lifetime away. I walked into room 4B feeling like an intruder. There were 6 women arranged in a circle of chairs, plus Marina. They looked at me with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. Everyone, this is Daniel, Marina said, Sophie's husband. He's asked to join us tonight, to learn more about who she was in this space. One of the women, older, gray-haired, with a face that had seen hard years, spoke first. Sophie talked about you constantly, you know. Danny this, Danny that. She loved you so much it almost hurt to hear. Then why didn't she tell me? Because shame doesn't listen to love, another woman said, younger, maybe 30. I've been married 8 years. My husband still doesn't know. Not because I don't love him, because I can't stand the thought of him picturing it, of him seeing me like that. The gray-haired woman nodded.
It's not rational, we know that. But survivors carry this idea that if people knew the truth, they'd see us differently, like we're contaminated somehow. Sophie wasn't contaminated. My voice cracked. She was the best person I've ever known. We know that, Marina said gently. And she was getting there too. That's why she was going to tell you. She'd finally started to believe that she could be both, a survivor and someone worthy of love, that the truth wouldn't destroy what you had. I looked around the circle at these women, these strangers who knew my wife in ways I never had. What was she like here? I asked. In this room? They exchanged glances. Then the younger woman spoke. Brave, so brave. When she first came, she could barely say the words out loud. She'd start to tell her story and just shut down. But she kept coming back, week after week, and eventually she started to open up. She helped me more than anyone, another woman added. She had this way of making you feel seen without being pitied, like she really understood. Because she did understand, Marina said. Sophie was a healer. That's why she became a teacher. She wanted to protect children the way no one protected her. I thought about Sophie in her classroom, with glitter in her hair and patience that never ran out. All those kids she loved like her own. She wasn't borrowing other people's children. She was guarding them, making sure no one did to them what was done to her. After the meeting, Marina asked me to stay behind. There's something else, she said, once the room had emptied. Something I've been debating whether to share with you. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. Sophie gave this to me the week before she died. She asked me to hold on to it. Said if anything ever happened to her, I should give it to you. My hands trembled as I took it. My name was written on the front in Sophie's careful handwriting. She was planning to tell you in person, Marina continued, but I think part of her wanted a backup in case she lost her nerve. I stared at the envelope, my wife's last words to me. I'll give you privacy, Marina said, and left. I sat alone in room 4B, in the chair Sophie must have occupied 100 times, and opened the letter. My dearest Danny, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't find the words to say it out loud, or worse, it means I'm not there to say them at all. I've been keeping something from you, something I should have told you before we got married, before we built this life together, before I let you believe you knew all of me. When I was a little girl, my stepfather hurt me. For 6 years, he came to my room at night and did things no child should have to endure. I won't write the details. They don't matter.
What matters is that I've carried this inside me for 30 years, and I never told a soul until I walked into Marina's office. I wanted to tell you so many times, but every time I tried, I saw the way you look at me, like I'm something precious, something good, and I couldn't bear to watch that change.
I was terrified you'd see me as broken, as dirty, as less than the woman you married. I know now that I was wrong. You would never see me that way. You love me for who I am, not for who I pretend to be. Marina helped me understand that. But understanding doesn't erase 30 years of shame overnight. Here's what I need you to know. Everything we had was real. My love for you was never a lie. If anything, loving you was the most honest thing I've ever done. You made me believe I could be whole again. There's more I should tell you. Things about my family, about decisions I made, about why I really didn't want children. But those conversations are for later, when we're face to face, when I can hold your hand and watch your eyes and know that we'll survive this together. I'm going to tell you tonight, I've made up my mind. No more hiding. If I'm reading this letter to you myself, then you know the rest of the story. We've talked, we've cried, we've started the long work of rebuilding on a foundation of truth. But if someone else gave you this letter, if I'm not there to explain, then I need you to know one final thing. It wasn't your fault. Whatever happened to me, whenever I left this world, it wasn't because you failed me. You saved me, Danny, in ways you'll never understand. You saved me. Don't let grief swallow you. Don't spend years wondering what you could have done differently. Live, be happy, find someone who makes you laugh. And if you can find it in your heart, forgive me for not being brave enough sooner. All my love, forever. Sophie. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully, pressed it to my chest, and wept. 1 year later, I visit Sophie's grave every Sunday. I bring flowers, daisies, her favorites, and I sit on the grass beside her headstone and I talk about my week, about her students, some of whom still send me cards, about the support group, which I've started attending myself, not as a survivor, but as a loved one trying to understand. The women there have become something like family. I think Sophie would like that. I've done other things too. Therapy for the grief that still catches me off guard. Long talks with Claire, who had her own complicated feelings about their childhood. A letter to Sophie's mother, asking questions that were hard to ask, receiving answers that were harder to hear. Richard, the stepfather, died 2 years ago. Heart attack. Sophie never got justice, never got acknowledgement, never got the confrontation she might have needed. I struggle with that. The unfairness of it, the way monsters sometimes die peacefully in their beds. But I'm learning that healing doesn't require justice. It only requires truth. The truth is, I didn't know my wife. Not completely. But that doesn't mean our marriage was a lie. Sophie loved me with everything she was capable of. The parts she held back weren't about me. They were about a wound so deep she didn't have words for it until 3 years ago. I wish she trusted me sooner. I wish I'd asked more questions, pushed past the comfortable surface, made it safe for her to share. All my love, forever, Sophie. But wishing doesn't change anything. What changes things is what we do with the truth once we have it. I've started volunteering at a children's advocacy center, helping kids who are going through what Sophie went through. It feels like the right way to honor her, to protect the children she spent her life protecting. Sometimes I think I feel her there, watching, proud. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. Or maybe love doesn't end when someone dies. Maybe it just changes shape. I still have the secret phone. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. Sometimes, late at night, I scroll through those messages between Sophie and Marina. The slow, painful journey from silence to speech. The courage it took to type words she'd never said aloud. "I think I'm ready to tell him," one of her final messages reads. "I know you are," Marina replied. "You've always been stronger than you think." Sophie was strong, stronger than anyone knew. She carried an impossible weight for 30 years, and she still became someone who radiated warmth and kindness, someone who made everyone around her feel loved. That's not brokenness. That's resilience. That's grace. I don't know what happens when we die. I don't know if Sophie is somewhere watching or if she's simply gone, returned to the stardust we all came from. But I know this. She wanted to tell me the truth. After 30 years of silence, she was ready to trust me with her darkest secret. A truck ran a red light and stole that chance. But it didn't steal the truth itself. The truth found its way to me anyway. Through a hidden phone, a patient therapist, a circle of brave women, and a letter my wife wrote hoping she'd never have to send. Some secrets are meant to be buried, but some secrets are meant to be found. I found Sophie's secret. And I wish, God, how I wish, I could tell her that it didn't change a thing, that she was never broken, that she was always, always enough. So, that's my story. And now I need to ask you something. Do you think Sophie was right to keep her secret for so long? Or do you think she should have told me sooner, given me the chance to support her? I go back and forth on this every day. Some people say survivors have the right to share on their own timeline, or never at all. Others say marriages require total honesty, even when it's painful. What do you believe? Type understand or should have told in the comments. And if you've ever loved someone who is carrying a secret like this, or if you've been the one carrying it, I'd like to hear your experience. You don't have to share details. Just let me know I'm not alone in trying to love someone through things I don't fully understand. Because I've learned that love isn't about knowing everything. It's about staying, even when you don't.